I would have never thought that their dictatorship would jail them, murder them, kill them, kill their family members too if they were to speak out against the government. I would have never thought this stuff happened. But, that's what true oppression looks like, folks. That's what that looks like. But you have the left here going, I'm suppressed because you won't call me the correct name. I'm upset because you don't call me Tiffany when my name's Zachary. Welcome to the Bald Brad Show. Before we get into our story today, please take a moment right now to hit that like and subscribe button. It really does help support the channel, and it also allows us to grow here at the Bald Brad Show, so your help would be greatly appreciated. With that being said, our story of the day is about the Cuban protest. Thousands upon thousands of Cubans have taken to the streets to protest against their own government, and rightfully so. We all know what has been going on in Cuba for decades upon decades with their quasi-socialist communist dictatorship. But, the blame has to be put on somewhere, folks. It possibly can't be put on the Cuban government. The mainstream media, I know, folks, you're going to be surprised when I say this, but the mainstream media is putting a leftist twist, a leftist false narrative on this. I know you're just as surprised as I am. Stop it. Of course, I'm being facetious, but, they're putting a leftist spin, and they're putting the blame on Donald Trump for all this, as if Donald Trump's the problem for their economic situation. It's truly mind-blowing. I mean, they literally been eating spaghetti with ketchup for decades over there. And I'm not trying to rip on Cuba. I'm not trying to rip on the Cubans. I'm trying to rip on the Cuban government and the leftist mainstream media that is trying to point the blame where the blame is not deserved. The blame is deserved on how the government has been handling everything in Cuba. They're the ones to blame, not the United States, and definitely not Donald Trump. But again, anywhere you could throw in Donald Trump in the news, it helps with their ratings, it helps with their viewership, because without Donald Trump, they cease to exist. But this article here comes from the Daily Wire. If you're not already a member, go over there and subscribe today. They help us out a lot by getting the news out there. It says CBS producer blames Trump for mass protest in Cuba. Well, let's go ahead and check this video out from the CBS producer. I'll do a little bit of reaction on it, and then we'll continue on with the story.
On Cuban television, Diaz-Canel blamed the protest on the U.S. and its trade embargo for a severe impact on Cuba's recent economic downturn.
Cuba's recent economic downturn? Trump's trade embargo? Really? We're going to pull that one as if they haven't been in an economic downturn for a long time? Has anybody seen the cars they drive there? They're literally from like the 50s. Like, what the hell are you talking about their economic downturn? Am I the only one sitting here that's completely baffled by that statement? Now, could they have at least done a little bit better in recent years? Sure, but if you're going to say an economic downturn for Cuba, when they've been in basically an economic downturn for decades since before I was even alive, it's silly. It's silly, but I digress.
The Trump administration passed many more regulations, many more sanctions against it, which basically has cut off all income coming into Cuba.
Portia Siegelbaum is a CBS News producer based in Cuba.
I think the Biden administration, he at least said at the beginning he was going to review this policy and make changes, but nothing has happened.
But nothing has happened. He told us on the campaign trail that he would fix everything. He was going to fix it. He was going to cure COVID. He was going to fix all the socialist countries. He said he was going to fix Trump's policies and get rid of them. And well, he hasn't done anything. Well, no shock. The guy's a politician. The guy's been lying through his teeth for decades. And you really think he's going to fix anything right now? Look, if he was going to fix it, if he was going to get rid of the policies, which he still might, he could have done it already. Hell, he got rid of Trump's immigration policies in his first week of office. Hell, I think it was his first day the guy stepped foot in the Oval. He was already getting rid of Trump's immigration policies, so why couldn't he do it with Cuba? Why can't he do it in these other areas? There's a lot going on here with Joe Biden, folks, and again, it's conspiracy theory, but a lot of people, and I think people even in the Democratic Party, think that he's not the one running the shows. I don't know who is. I'm not sure if you know who is. I don't think it's Kamala. Dude, the lady doesn't have a clue on anything. Hell, did you see how she's handling the U.S.-Mexico border? You know what? Maybe she is, because her handling of the border is very, very similar to what's going on with everything else. Everything else. And you know what? The only thing he has going for him right now is the vaccinations, which he didn't even do. He had no involvement really in the vaccinations. I mean, obviously he kind of did as president, but Donald Trump's warp speed in conjunction with Big Pharma that created the vaccine that allowed it to get out there. So really, Joe Biden kind of walked in a freaking great situation, and he's taken all the credit for this vaccination stuff. And now, when he can't take credit for handling Cuba like he said he was going to fix, now all of a sudden it's Donald Trump's fault again. Everything's Donald Trump's fault because, again, if he's not in the news for them, then there is no news for them. Well, you also have people in Congress that are Cuban Americans that understand what's been going on in Cuba. So you had this lawmaker here that's trying to get the Biden administration to do this anti-protest, or at least support the anti-government protesters in Cuba. And her statement here to the Daily Wire reads, and it's actually kind of moving: as the daughter of a Cuban refugee and as someone who still has relatives on the island, this ongoing situation in Cuba is incredibly personal to me. The United States must stand with the Cuban people who are displaying courage by protesting the communist regime that has destroyed their lives for the last 60 years. But I thought the economic downturn was just happening right now. I was just told by the mainstream media it's Trump's fault. I was told Trump was their economic downturn because of his trade embargo. I think not. It's a bunch of BS. In the past, protests by Cubans have historically led to jailings, beatings, and murders by the regime. Unbelievable. I would have never thought that would have happened in Cuba. I would have never thought that their dictatorship would jail them, murder them, kill them, kill their family members too if they were to speak out against the government. I would have never thought this stuff happened. But, that's what true oppression looks like, folks. That's what that looks like. But you have the left here going, I'm suppressed because you won't call me the correct name. I'm upset because you don't call me Tiffany when my name's Zachary. It's like, dude, if you want to see true oppression, go to Cuba. Go to Venezuela. Go see these other countries. Go to the Middle East countries. And if you want to be gay over there, let me know how that is, because they'll still behead you and stone you to death. But I digress with that as well. There's a unique opportunity for 10 Cuban Americans serving in Congress to work with the Biden administration to push for democracy, human rights, freedom of speech, and rid the island nation of the dual currency and economic systems that have inhumanely suppressed the Cuban people. There you have it, folks. This is where you have some of the mainstream media, like the Daily Wire. I'm going to throw them in mainstream media. They're one of the biggest, most clicked sites out there for the news. But this congresswoman has it right here. This lawmaker has it correct by saying that it's the communist regime that has caused the economic downturn, that has caused poverty, has caused starvation, has caused poor living situations. It's not Donald Trump that created all this crap. This stuff has been going on for 60 plus years. The mainstream media needs to just stop it with this crap. It's just silly. I'm encouraged that the people of Cuba are rising up against the communism, and I hope this is the beginning of real change towards freedom and democracy on the island. President Biden, as a leader of the free world, must do all he can to influence this change. Now, look, I hope Joe Biden steps up to the plate and does do that, but I don't know, folks. I mean, Joe ain't all there, man. I don't think Joe even knows where Cuba's at anymore. I would say he might have known before. I don't know about now. Of course, I'm taking jabs at Joe right now because I'm very upset with this handling of basically everything that's been going on. And for some reason, Democrats just don't see it. They are completely oblivious to the crap that Joe Biden, or his lack of what he's doing in government, they're just oblivious to it. At least for me with Trump, I know his flaws. I understand his flaws. I recognize his flaws. I think the guy's an idiot at times. I think he says stupid crap at times. A lot of conservatives, Republicans do. It's not that we don't recognize it and see it, but you have the Democrats here that don't want to admit that Joe Biden ain't all there. He doesn't know what he's doing. And at no point has Joe Biden mentioned that freaking Cuba has been under communism, or at least a quasi-socialist government, for decades, and that's the problem. He wants to blame it on COVID-19. He wants to blame it on other things because he's supposed to know better than us. Well, I don't think so. And who's actually reporting on this correctly? Well, you have the BBC, oddly enough, that says thousands rally against government as the economy struggles there. It says here, what are they marching for in Cuba here? It says they marched in cities including capital Havana, shouting freedom and down with the dictatorship. So if this was all about COVID, like the mainstream media is pushing, if this is all about Trump, then why are they talking about down with the dictatorship? Why are they talking about freedom? Why are they carrying American flags? Because they want to instill the values. They want to instill the same type of government that America has within their nation, because they see the prosperity that America has. They see the living situation that America has. Now, I'm not saying America's perfect. I'm not saying we don't have our problems, but hell, our problems are a lot less than what the Cubans are dealing with here. Cubans are angry about the collapse of the economy, food shortages, and the government's handling of the pandemic. Hold on a second. I thought the socialism, communism aspect was supposed to be great. I thought it always worked. That's what the leftists shout. You can just get food anywhere, right? Equal distribution, redistribution of wealth, but also redistribution of food. Everything gets redistributed through the government. So why are they having food shortages? Is it because Trump's trade embargo? But if it's so good, then what would a trade embargo have through your problems? Regardless of a trade embargo, if communism is so great, if socialism is so great, why are you having food shortages? Hell, there should be bread everywhere. Remember when Bernie Sanders was like, it's a great thing that you can stand in lines for hours for bread shortages. It's like, come on. Your head spins trying to formulate this web of craziness that the left spew, and it doesn't make sense. And you spend your days reading their books. Hell, guys, I spend a lot of time reading their books, and I still can't wrap my head around it. Maybe I'm the idiot. Of course, according to the left, we're conservatives, we're idiots, we're conspiracy theories. It goes on to say the protests are significant, with government critics risking jail for dissent in the island. We are not afraid. We want change. We do not want any more dictatorship, one protester said. So again, it's just protester after protester. The signs, the flags, everything is showing that they don't want this dictatorship anymore. But the mainstream media doesn't want to out the idea of communism. They don't want to out the idea that socialism doesn't work. They don't want to out the idea that the stuff that Cuba is pushing, because remember, they all used to say Cuba's great, come to Cuba, this is the best, right? Then they switch to like Venezuela, and then they switch to the other socialist countries. Oh, they're so great. So anytime that country falls, anytime that country collapses, they move on to the next country that's producing socialism or showing it. Then when that country collapses, they move on to the next one. They don't ever want to talk about the ones that they're supporting previously, as if they never said it, as if they never supported it. They just keep moving on down the rabbit hole to the next one, to the next one, to the next one. So this whole stuff that's going on in Cuba, you got to support the Cubans that are going up against their government, because it is true. They could be jailed. They're actually courageous. I know we don't like to use that term a lot, because, if you come out with a different pronoun, oh, I'm courageous, I'm free. Cool. We don't care. Like, you can be whatever you want to be. But these people are risking being jailed. They're risking having their family killed. They're risking being killed themselves. They're risking being disappearing, never showing up again, ever again, being buried in the middle of a desert. So these are actually courageous people, and they see and understand, because they have family members here in America. It's not as if they're completely shut out from the freaking entire world like North Korea. They know what's going on here. They see the living situations. They see the living standard of their relatives here in America, and they want that, and they should want that. Everybody should want that. I'm not saying we should push it upon them, but all they have to do is look across the ocean there, and I don't even say across the ocean. We obviously can't call it a lake, but you get what I'm saying. They just got to look at the way, talk to their relatives, and see the freaking situation we got going on here, and they want it there, and they rightfully should have it there if they want it, and they need to get rid of this dictatorship so they can live prosperous lives, and we all want that for them. We all want their freedom. We all want them to have the most food they could possibly want, fill their freaking bellies as big and as much as they want. We don't want them eating spaghetti with ketchup anymore. We don't want them driving 1950s cars. We want them to be in the 2020s, folks. We want to help them out. Support them any way you can. If there's GoFundMe's out there, find it. If there's one that I can find, I'll go ahead and throw it in the description. But that is all the news I have for you today. If you want to support the channel, again, share this on social media with your friends and family. Leave me a comment below on what interests you most about this article and about what is going on in Cuba. Heck, throw any thoughts you want in the comment section. It does help with the algorithm. And thank you so much, folks, for always supporting the show. And I'll see you later here on The Bald Brad Show.